Good morning, Acadiana, and welcome to another edition of Morning Coffee with Big Al
and Special T.
We're happy to be coming to you from Cypress Street Radio, AOC Community Media's streaming broadcast.
Look for us every day of the week. Our 8 a.m. show will start your morning off right. That's right in a good way.
Not right as in radical right. We bring you good ideas, good pastimes, and who knows what else. With
a progressive flair. Our 7 p.m. stream is a great backdrop for some decaf and peace of mind. So either way, whatever it is that you decide you're going to get to help you through this hour of extreme entertainment, sit back and enjoy the show.
Yes. So, well, I guess we have some music. Should we just, how long do you think how much longer do you think the music will play today?
We're not listening to it, so we don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. This is for all our fans out there. We're doing a little change in our production, and some of the things will be put in post-production, as they say.
I think we need to do a little recording and put it in our ear where we can kind of hear it.
That might not be a bad idea.
I really think that might be good to sync. But anyway, okay, let's talk a little bit about what's going on.
Okay,
You ready for this?
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, we are in post stay-at-home extension lockdown. Okay, and there's some folks that are not very happy about the fact that we've been extended through May the 15th. But over and all, I really believe it's a good idea. What do you think, Al?
You know, I've seen a lot of different things on all this. I mean, just all the various aspects of this whole, coronavirus, SARS-CoV.
Convoluted mess.
Right, exactly. But the, initially, I think the isolation or the social distancing or whatever you want to call it, I think that's a good idea. And for people that are susceptible to the really bad aspects, I think it's a good idea. But on the other hand, and I've seen some doctors talk about this, it's not a consensus. I mean, it's just, a couple of doctors that I watch, because I've watched a lot of different things on this, but they talk about the individual's immune system, and the immune system does have to be stimulated to produce the things to protect the body from too much of any particular agent that might be detrimental. So,
right.
I've heard just polar opposites on masks. The good part. Now, a mask, if you have or suspect you might have, COVID-19 or any other disease, it has a tendency to where you won't spread it as much.
Right. And so that's a good idea.
Yeah, but there's also some drawbacks to masks, and as far as retaining whatever agent that you happen to be exposed to. I mean, it's like gloves.
They say, I got advice from Asia, and they say to wash that mask every night. So have two, one will dry and the other one, use the other one. My mask I had on yesterday, I can't find it. So I had to make myself my own homemade mask. And I think it's actually more inhibiting of anything that might go out and even come in. that than my professionally made mask.
Well, I don't know. I mean, now from what I've heard, or at least my, I guess my conclusion is that if you're not wearing an N95 mask, then the filtration is minimal. But
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you gotta figure you're talking about, the size of the particles, whatever they might be.
Right.
Dust or virus or anything you're trying to filter. Pretty much. And this is not an absolutely true statement, but it's pretty close. It has to be bigger than the orifice it's trying to go through. I mean,
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I mean, unless somehow with the direction of the airflow current that's going through the mask, it could direct it.
Well, it's going to direct it down instead of out.
Well, I mean, theoretically, something like that might
Now,
work.
some people think it might go up through the little openings because of, that's why they talk about putting that metal part.
Yeah, like on your nose, yeah. Yeah, to make it conform to your nose. But, I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, I haven't had a mask on ever since this thing started.
Oh,
and, I know a lot of people didn't, because, I mean, at first, if you may recall a couple of months ago, they said, oh, you don't need to worry about, wearing a mask. And, of course, I think that was because they didn't have enough of them.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But,
or because their appearance ego was kind of getting in the way and they didn't want to have to wear a mask themselves. When John Bell went to Washington, D.C., it was discouraged for him to wear a mask, and so he didn't. They took temperatures ahead of time.
Who's that?
John Bell Edwards, our governor.
Oh, John Bell.
He had to go to D.C. And they said, they don't wear a mask in the Capitol. By golly, let's see about, well, fine.
Well, I noticed Pence didn't wear one when he went to that.
I take offense to that. I feel like, you say whatever you want, but here, all these doctors are trying to keep themselves safe, and you diss it. You think you're of a different standard than everybody else. So right. I took offense to that, and today it's come out through a slippage of like the leak, right. Where people are telling who are in the medical community that Louisiana has not been keeping track of all the deaths of hospital workers and doctors. They're not keeping track of that. They're not. And okay, I'm like thinking, well, why wouldn't they do that? Maybe because they don't want people to not go to they don't want people to refrain from going to the hospital because they think they're going to get sick from the people who are helping them, which they could,
Well, I mean, the whole thing has been very poorly managed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would use some more colorful language, but I guess I won't. But
that you won't be on. You can be a nighttime show. Speaking of which, I listened to AOC, and y'all, if you're listening to our show now, you should listen to our show at night. Because the shows that come in after us are so just blatantly hilarious. Yeah. We got Not Al and 2 or 3 other people. If you want to go in and talk, if we wanted to go in, I don't guess we could. But if we had wanted to go in before the corona, distancing and everything else, we could have just said, "Hey, I want to be on the show." Yeah. and we could have been on the show. And I think it would have been hilarious because Not Al is so, I mean, they talk about really serious stuff. and they get into all this philosophical thing, and every now and then there's a curse word that comes out that's really blatantly that you cannot say this on public radio.
One of those.
Yeah, one of those words that you're like,
on TV.
They said that. You said what? What did you say?
What are you saying? Not Al?
Not
what? Do you,
what?
You said something about not Al?
But not Ed.
Not Ed?
There's a not Ed and there's a not Al.
Seriously?
And probably not a specialty too.
Oh, okay.
Oh God. So anyway, it was so funny. But it was really, they got into some deep philosophical discussions about everything.
I have
just
to have a look at that.
like off the wall,
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I want to listen to it tonight too. It's truly entertaining. So you get a whole new angle on some of these personalities that we know and we don't see all the time. Yeah. Yeah, it's really entertaining.
Well, that's sounds.
I love AOC.
Yeah.
Just love.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of attractive. It sounds like something that might be fun.
Yeah. Maybe when things get more normal, we can do that. Maybe we can. Now, remember Danielle Marie used to be, she was like the fill-in for a while you were, hanging out in Texas so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, she and I talked often about crashing Jacob and Paul on the Wall, their Sunday show, where they were like complete comedians,
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we wanted to really go in there and rattle the cage a bit, but we never made it out on Sunday. It was a day of rest. Hello?
Yeah.
I have a friend that puts a whole new meaning to the day of rest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on the day of rest, Sunday, her little boy gets to clean the restroom. And I'm like, oh, good job, Julia. You taught your boy to clean up after himself. Yay. So,
well, you mentioned something a minute or two ago, something like that, about when things get back to normal. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting concept.
I don't think it's ever going to be normal again.
Well,
it's going to be a new
brave new
hopefully
world.
A new and improved method, a new and improved social society.
Well, that's what I was getting at. We could, if enough people got interested and got over the fear thing and all the other stuff, the getting vaccinated with a transmitter and
with a chip.
Yeah, but this could be a good point to have a serious look at our system that we have here in the United States. And, I can think of a lot of different ways to make it better.
Yeah.
And I'm just one person out of 325 million or whatever.
Well, fortunately, I think there's more than one person who thinks about that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But it's something that,
we have some things that have hit us like right between the eyes as far as insufficiencies and failings of the American way.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Even though we're
the best country in the world,
What's that?
Even though we're the strongest, the best, the most advanced.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I corona cough.
Yeah. Well, it's like the news media is such I was just talking with somebody, maybe it was Matt actually, about back in the days of Walter Cronkite, where you felt like you're actually getting some news.
Mm-hmm.
And, he may put a little bit, well, this is what I think about it, or stuff like that. But it was not the programmed stuff that you get nowadays, which is just, it's programming. I mean, by programming, I don't mean, let's make another program here. I mean, it's designed to program people to think a certain thing, like ever since the end of World War II and commies are bad, Russia's bad, USSR, all this stuff. And I see that. I mean, it's just like it's almost programmed into people's subconscious, a lot of people's subconscious, that, we're rugged individuals and socialism's bad, and it's just like it's the almost even below the operating system, It's like in the
unfortunate.
Well, yeah, and that's something that I look at a lot of different news sources.
But I'm sorry, it's not fake news a lot of the time.
What's that now?
It's not fake news a lot of the time. There are certain medias that are really trying to put the news out there and being dissed by someone who doesn't like the way it is. They want it all wonderful and peaches around anything that does what they want it to say, whether it's true or not.
That's the narrative. What is the narrative we want to project here? It's like you and I, we can talk about, probably, you have your opinion about stuff and I have my opinion about stuff. And people can listen to it and maybe our opinions coincide, maybe they don't, but people can make up their own. It's not like we have any particular agenda.
Hey, your photo just went out.
Did it come back in?
For a second, yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, so did yours. It blinked for a second, so that's yeah. And I guess everybody, I don't know if our audience is watching this or just listening to it or what, but we are in a slightly different social distancing format here.
Yeah.
And so there may be some technical glitches, but you still get to at least listen to the personalities that you know and love.
Well, there was an interview and a story and an interview with a reporter who is the head science and health reporter for the New York Times. Of course, the New York Times gets a whole lot of flack from DC. They don't like the New York Times at all. They don't like the New York Times. They don't like the Washington Post. They don't like any of the, the most respected, I think, publications that are out there. And this particular reporter is the one who goes out on assignment when there are big issues that come up with health, like when Africa had the big Ebola breakout of that problem. And actually, it seemed like he had a very good account of what China did and how it responded to this pandemic. Of course, it wasn't a pandemic at the time. It was like an outbreak of a new disease with the potential of becoming a pandemic. No, we're talking about corona.
Oh, okay. So we're fast forwarding to.
We're fast forwarding to Wuhan.
Okay.
Wuhan.
Okay.
And where they're saying, oh, well, China did this and China did that. He said that the problem was closer to the local level as far as the government. They were the ones who were not representing correctly, even to Beijing, what was happening in the city and why and how many outbreaks there were. They were misreporting because it was worse than they said. Within 3 or 4 days of finding out or hearing the counter messaging of what was actually happening as opposed to what was being told by the mayor of that area, they came down there like a they were ready to pounce on that problem, and they did. They made the mayor apologize publicly for misrepresenting what was happening, and they took control. And they don't, when they tested people, they had the people go through a whole series of different tests for different things. Had a CAT scan, they were checked their vital signs, they checked all sorts of different things. And when they had these papers, they would look at that and decide whether they could be checked for the coronavirus. I mean, if they ended up like having a fever or whatever, right away they were just taken into, isolation. But to get the test one way or the other, if there was anything at all that was wrong with them, they didn't get to go home. They were put into like a big facility where they were taking care of all the people there, where they had beds, they had doctors. It was like a huge gymnasium. They ramped down on the isolation so much. And this guy is saying, our distancing and what we do, and the program quote from him is that this is what we're doing here is like a garden party. And essentially what the message is that we're going to end up paying for it,
Yeah.
We're going to end up with way more deaths than anybody's wanting to admit,
Well, there's so many philosophical aspects to this. I mean, freedom and liberty, that's great and all that. But, when you can affect people that, they don't even know you're affecting them. What can happen with this particular affliction here, this particular virus. I mean,
because it's contagious before it's actually a known infection to the people who are carrying it.
Right. And, there needs to be some, consideration for the group.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But then that starts off, to me, with who is the, I'm kind of hesitant to say leading the group, but who's
the administrator of testing.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean,
and we're not prepared. We are totally not prepared.
No, I mean, the masks are still, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, I can see good things about them. I can see both sides of that coin, I think. But when you don't have them to start with, and then you're telling people, well, you don't need them. It's like, you don't need them because we don't have them anyway. But and all the protective gear, because the medical people definitely, I think, need that. Unless you're in an environment where nobody is infected, there's just it's just so. It's like you're talking 99+%.
Like you don't know anybody's infected until there's a lot of people infected.
Well,
it pretty much happens that maybe there's one person, but then you don't know until 2 weeks later how many people that this first person may have affected and infected and made that where people were subject to contracting this this disease.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, the scientists were not particularly listened to at the start of this. You know,
They say that Washington State listened to their scientists more, and because of that, in spite of the anticipation that they would have a huge breakout, that they managed to keep it under control.
Well,
but you know, it's not over until the whole smacking population of the group and the travel, you know, is contained.
Well, it's like, I've kind of been wanting to go to Texas, but you know, it's like, I don't want to deal with a 14-day quarantine to do that. And I don't know if you know, maybe that's going to be off tomorrow because they're supposed to open Texas back up, you know? Well, that's what they say, but that doesn't mean necessarily that they're, you know, just because they're opening Texas back up, that doesn't, I guess my interpretation right now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to open it up to travelers from Louisiana.
Well, let's take a little break, and when we come back, let's address that some more.
Okay.
We're about at our halfway point.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to that.
So anyway, and maybe we'll get to see a little bit about this, the doctor who is so much in the spotlight here for this particular disease, and understand a little bit more of his background so we see why he's in the position that he is.
Well, that sounds good to me, and so I guess we'll fade into the music here, and we'll be back with everybody before you know it.
Yeah, I'm going to show you my handmade mask.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm been wanting to see that.
I did it really fast, but I think it's really, effective.
Yeah, well, that sounds good.
So anyway, and I have cut out a lot more. So if you want one, you can order one, and I'll try to make one for you. It might be any bigger than mine, though.
Well, yeah, I might.
You know, it doesn't work with facial hair.
Yeah, well, then that's. I mean, you can't make one that goes down below my beard or something like that.
I have to have a special design. Okay, y'all. Well, have a nice break.
We'll be back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to.
Dr. Fauci.
Our next expert is Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Tony knows what to do.
Dr. Anthony S. Fauci.
Tony and I.
We turn now to Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fauci.
My name is Dr. Tony Fauci. I'm the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at NIH.
Even as a boy, Tony was distinguished by his courage. In a neighborhood full of Brooklyn Dodgers fans, he rooted for the Yankees.
So I was in an Italian and American section called Bensonhurst, and it was a very family-oriented, very warm, nurturing. My father is first generation. His father was born in Italy, came to the United States at the turn of the 19th to 20th century. They called him Doc. Back then, pharmacists were called Doc because many people who either couldn't afford to go to a doctor or didn't want to take the time of making an appointment would go in to their neighborhood pharmacy.
And he still quotes what he learned from Jesuit teaching: precision of thought, economy of expression. And now you know why he never ran for public office.
He was a great basketball player. Did anybody know that? He was a little on the short side for the NBA, but he was talented.
And graduated first in his class in 1966 at Cornell Medical College.
noted public health scholars were opining and even testifying before the United States Congress that with the advent of antibiotics and vaccines and public health measures, quote, the war against infectious diseases had been won. At that time, I was on my way to begin, of all things, a fellowship in infectious diseases at the National Institutes of Health. I sort of felt like I was going to Miami to be a ski instructor.
Before this malady even had a name, it had a fierce opponent in Dr. Anthony Fauci.
This is a new disease, at least in the United States.
It just struck me as an oddity that otherwise healthy men and another oddity, otherwise healthy gay men, got an infection that you virtually never see in someone with a normal immune system. And at that point, it was like, oh my God, we're dealing with something new. I decided I was going to stop what I had been doing and devote myself completely to studying what I felt would be an enormously difficult disease. And it unfortunately turned out that that was the case.
And that's an issue that I really must emphasize over and over again, that there is no scientific evidence at all that it can be transmitted by casual contact.
One of the toughest decisions, I had a few, was when I made a decision during the middle of the early years of the AIDS pandemic to bring the activist community into our deliberations, because most of the scientific community, including my own staff, were totally against that.
But I think you have to...
If you start that business about science isn't done that way, I'm going to come down there and slap your face.
All right, Larry, hang on for a second.
Remarkably, he has gone from being burned in effigy by AIDS activists in the early days of the epidemic to winning their trust and respect.
You know, I want to say something about Tony Fauci, because I think the world must think I hate him or something, the way I'm going on tonight. I love Tony. Actually, I think I probably have a more complicated relationship with Tony than anybody in my entire life. He is a man, an ordinary man, who is being asked to play God, and he is being punished because he cannot be God. And that is a terrible situation to be in, to be the lightning rod for all of us. But he is there, and he has been this incredible fighter for us and for AIDS.
I love you, Larry.
How many presidents have you known personally?
Essentially all of them to a different degree. I knew President George H.W. Bush very well.
Who are the ones that you would point out to young Americans as figures who should inspire this country?
I think of Dr. Fauci. Probably never heard of him. You did. Ann heard of him. He's a very fine research, top doctor at National Institute of Health, working hard doing something about research on this disease of AIDS.
I didn't see the debate. I was out of town coming in on a plane, and the next morning when I walked into the NIH, as I walked into the lobby, people started going like this, and I said, what is this all about? I said, what do you mean what's this all about? The president called you a hero during a national debate that was seen by 100 million people, and I was totally surprised.
For his determined and aggressive efforts to help others live longer and healthier lives, I'm proud to award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Dr. Anthony S. Fauci.
got to be quite close with President George W. Bush. He took
the coolest president that you have worked with.
Well, there's not a chance in the world I'm going to answer that one. Leadership takes many forms, including the quiet leadership of example.
I said earlier today that I hope we can do this by Easter.
You don't make the timeline. The virus makes the timeline.
Anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the tests. And the tests are beautiful.
The idea of anybody getting it easily, the way people in other countries are doing it, we're not set up for that. Do I think we should be? Yes, but we're not.
Now, you're 74.
Right.
How long are you going to work?
I'm just going to keep doing it until I'm not effective. And right now I'm as energetic and I believe as effective as I've ever been.
Fauci.
What's going to happen? So this is it. Okay.
Okay.
And I think I do it this way. I'm going to have to do the inside and outside. But we're talking like, hurrying and getting it done. And then you put it over your ears. Okay, you put it over your ears and you tie it. So you have to be coordinated.
Yeah.
But inside it, I cut out part of an ACE bandage. You know how they have all that? It's got like some serious insulation type stuff.
Well, yeah.
You know the ones that are like springy?
Oh, yeah. I know what an ACE bandage is.
Yeah. So it doesn't have any sticky stuff on it. It's just called ACE bandage. So anyway, this is how you do it, and it works. And you can tell it's even harder to hear me.
Yeah, it is.
And it's harder to breathe.
Yeah.
But when I go to a grocery store, I'm not going to worry about anybody coming and coughing on me. And it's pretty tight, too.
Yeah.
If I blow, it doesn't go in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen those plague doctor masks?
Are they white?
No, this is from like the medieval, the plague doctor with the big snout on them and all that.
Oh, that stuff. Yeah, I guess I've seen that. I didn't know that was what they did, but anyway.
Yeah,
so,
that's actually true. They actually did that, and it actually.
Why did they want to scare people?
Well, they were trying to prevent the inhalation of whatever was causing the plague at the time.
They were scaring off the bad spirits.
Well, I don't know about that either, but it did actually have some functional utility. I guess. Well, we could, I guess we could say something when we start talking about are we going to try to put that video in, or are you going to send that?
Oh, it's already in.
Oh, really?
Matt did it.
Oh, he's got it. Huh? Okay. So, do we want to?
No, we're going to talk about Texas. I want to know, do they have? Do you have any idea? Do they have like roadblocks and pull people over?
I don't know. I mean, so we're back live now, basically.
Oh yeah, we've been live while I've been showing off my mask.
Well, yeah. I
think people.
I understand it's been recorded.
What I did, I put a shoelace, one, right, and I put it in there, and then I sewed it on one side. It's more complicated than most of them. They just want to do a whole square because they're trying to get them done fast. So I sewed both sides And in the inside of it, I cut the shoelace so that it wouldn't pull closed, you know, when you do this, because it would make it. So I didn't want to have that happen. And so anyway, I got it where it goes up a little bit here. And so it's flat, and it's got an ace bandage in it.
Okay, well, that sounds
and
good.
it's thick. It's thick cotton knit, so it's comfortable.
Yeah.
So you don't iron it, but you can wash it really good. And what I do with mine is I wash. People are like, you just don't need soap. I said, oh, I wash mine with soap and then I rinse it with alcohol.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it doesn't smell like alcohol the next day. It evaporates.
What kind of alcohol?
Rubbing alcohol. I could use vodka, but I don't. But they say that, I mean, there's a certain proof that you need in order to be, disinfectant. But alcohol, the whiskey and stuff was used, like in the Wild West.
Back in the good old days?
When people had things happen that it was like, whiskey.
The days of Marshall Dillon and Festus. And
yes, you can.
Doc and. No, yeah, they.
I heard that. I think I heard Festus last night. Somebody was talking about Festus. Yeah, I think. We were talking about TV shows to watch, this. Supposedly there's a big, wide, broad expansion of the numbers of people that have subscribed to Netflix.
Yeah, it might. Well, that would be interesting to see the actual numbers on that. But I bet you, I've been on Netflix for a long time, but I bet you there is a pretty good expansion on that because.
That and also Microsoft is doing really well.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that maybe.
So here's your stock tip for the day.
Maybe Bill can get his vaccination with super micro miniaturized transmitters to keep track of all of us.
I do not know. But Bill Gates and Melinda have been huge advocates for vaccinations, especially for polio. They've been immensely helpful in that mission to eradicate polio throughout the world. And
what did we do? We took it. We had our on a sugar cube. Is that the way we did it back in the day?
Yeah, I think so. It's just like a little drop still.
Yeah.
And but it started out like we had over 100,000 infections, cases of polio. It was awful. And and the effects were so malignant. It was just a really horrible disease, and was affecting children. And so anyway, it's almost gone. Like that much more to go. Supposedly there's 2 states. Just recently, Africa, the whole continent has become polio free.
Really, I didn't know that.
The wild polio, yeah. I think was Nigeria maybe had some lingering cases or whatever. But the only 2 countries, of course, after this thing, I don't know what's going to happen. But the only 2 countries left that had some vaccines were Afghanistan and Palestine. Yeah. And,
that was a big deal. I guess you said something about wanting to talk about Texas and their
I'm wondering
immigration or travel policies or whatever.
Right. How do they stop people from stopping?
Well, I'm guessing. I don't know. I did read it. I Googled it, of course, and found out because, like I have a friend of mine, one of my really old friends in Houston, and close to Houston in Kingwood. You probably know where that is, but
it's a little bit further.
It's
It's a little bit further north.
Yeah. But I was going to go over and visit him, or wanted to, but I had heard about this quarantine thing in Texas, and I looked it up, and there's actually, if you go into Texas, somehow or another, and I'm guessing it's just if you have a Louisiana license plate or something, but you go over there and they, I guess give you some kind of paperwork or make a record if you're going there or something. And
so they stop you.
Well, I there's no place at the border really that I know of. I mean, unless they set something up, but maybe the DPS pulls you over and.
Supposedly on 20 and I-10.
Really?
But people can go on 90 too to get in there.
Well, I had thought about that because, it's I can understand the idea, but I don't know. There's so much. Apparently, there's a lot that's still unknown about the qualities and properties of this virus. I mean, they don't know. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the possibility that somebody can be reinfected with the same thing.
Absolutely.
And I kind of have my doubts about that because I don't think that's unless it's a slightly different strain or something like that. I mean, that's why, with cold and flu and stuff like that, I mean, you have variations on the strain.
You can take the vaccine and still get it.
Exactly. So, and, I'm also wondering what the, if there's kind of an incentive to keep a lot of this unknown, because that's, that's the fear thing. There's the big fear thing going on right now, with, we had to stay inside and don't go outside your house and blah, 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 and all this stuff. I can relate to and I can agree with the social distancing to some degree, but the thing is, on the other side of that balance is the human immunological, or I guess that's the word for it, but the...
it's not, you just made up a really good word.
Yeah, the response though, and the human body is just like some of these doctors were talking about, when you're a little kid.
Yeah,
you walk around on
so that they get, their immune system up.
Exactly. And I've heard people.
But it's just too deadly.
Well,
for certain people.
Yeah, for certain people, yeah, but
immune system's already compromised.
Yeah, that would definitely.
And there's a lot of us, unfortunately.
Well, I've read about.
I bet there's a lot of people wouldn't mind me being dead, but well, whatever.
What's that? A lot of people are what? Well, but that's, so I looked it up, and, you get the 14-day quarantine if you go over there. So maybe that will have changed by the time people seen it. By the time people do it.
Something in the news about that, and then it mentioned that whatever it was that they had set up was not right at the border. Of course, if you think about the Texas boundary, you cross over right on the middle of a bridge.
Right.
So you can see the big mess that would cause, and that's probably why they didn't do it right at the border, even though they do have that visitor center.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's equipped to handle all the traffic coming from the east that would have to go through it.
It'd be interesting to get everybody to.
Yeah. Well, I have some contacts that have some inside information about how things are done in Texas, that maybe I could talk to them, because they actually work for the state.
Oh, yeah?
And ask them, well, how do they do this? Or did they do this? Or what's the scoop?
Well, I was just thinking if everybody made it a point to stop at the visitor center Hey, where's our 14-day quarantine thing?
Yeah, we want to have some good Texas brisket or something.
Yeah, it's.
Of course, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want brisket. I'd want some crappie or something.
It's definitely, I read somewhere, I forgot exactly, I read so many things, it's hard for me to keep up with everything, but
you need to keep a journal.
No, I don't, but, kind of a pause and a reset thing that we have an opportunity here. Getting back to what we were talking about earlier, about the, what is the new normal going to be? It could be a lot better, and it could be, really beneficial for everybody. But there are people that are going to try to maximize their
own self-worth.
Well, right, and the corporations maximizing their profits
Power
and control.
and
Right, power. Right, exactly. And that'll be interesting to see how that works out. Because there's also talk of strikes and all kinds of stuff coming up, in short order. Which,
from the health care community, possibly.
Well, that I don't know about that, but that would be. The healthcare. The nurses.
Definitely the meat processing place.
Yeah, I saw something about that, but I guess for me to boil it down and being, having participated at a fairly robust level in the union back when I was working, I'm a firm believer in that, and I'm a firm believer in, people being in a group that increases the power. This rugged individual stuff, that's a bunch of crap that people tell you to where you don't join together, to where, it's like when you get to the people talk about the 1% and the 99%, well, 99% is going to be a lot more people than the 1%, and the 1%
we could all get it together.
Right, exactly, and that's what we need to do because we have an opportunity, and mainly, the people that are working, need to get a bigger slice of the pie out of the production of the country. It's like, 3 or 4 months ago, the narrative was still, why should they make $15 an hour? They're just burger flippers, and stuff like that. And, that's such a, the grocery store, the people that work in the grocery store, the meat packing plants, like you mentioned, they probably make, better. I don't know what they make, but to me, if somebody's going to go out and work, they ought to be able to earn a living.
Exactly.
And stuff about
living wages.
Yeah. Well, it's like, they need everybody, they need to get a degree and make themselves worth something to the employer. That's just, how many, not everybody can be doctors and lawyers and pilots and air traffic controllers and, administrators and all this other stuff. You got to have some people that actually do the work. And when you consider, like so many people have said, how rich this country is and how well everybody could be doing here.
And how skewed it is.
Exactly. And then, we could actually improve the whole planet. Of course, not to say that other people couldn't too, but to have the resources that we have and not use them. There's so many different aspects. The Green New Deal, we could be a leader there. It's like here in Louisiana, with the oil thing. The price of oil is totally cratered.
Yeah.
But and I know a lot of people in the oil patch are worried about that because that's their job. But what difference would it make? I mean, if they could make the same money putting together green energy stuff, I mean, would it be that terrible to be working in a clean, safe job and making the same amount of money doing something that would benefit the planet?
It still frustrates me that when we had, after that moratorium thing and all the people were all outraged, and that the question, was presented to some of our legislators about cross-training and getting all of our oil field workers trained in doing alternative energy jobs. Oh man, the outrage was ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, the people in the audience, they were like, boo, Obama, it was just ridiculous.
Well, there are people, that intentionally sabotage stuff.
I guess so.
I don't see how it can be any other thing. Either that or they're just incredibly stupid and short-sighted. But maybe I'm, overly optimistic about some things, but I think we could have a good planet here. I think we could have a paradise. And
there's been talk. I know I mentioned already about the reporter who has said that's what his personal hope is.
Really?
And mentions the fact that after some of these worst wars that we've had, that the countries have come back and realized that, that the money is not as important as, making things more equitable.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Hopefully one aspect that will be evaluated closely, that and with already so much dialogue about the changes that need to be made, and now the visuals and actualities as far as the healthcare system, hopefully that'll be addressed too.
Yeah, that's we definitely have room for improvement.
Well, I think it's about time that we hang it up. Let's show everybody one more time the great homemade mask. Ta-da!
Yes, and you can go to specialty.com and get them by the dozen.
By the dozen. I don't know. I think that they're going to have to give me some measurements because not everybody's face is small.
Yeah. That is a nice looking mask there.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool when it's on. But the one I had before was better though. But I can't find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, is that just about it for the day or what?
About it for the day.
Well,
so peace everybody. Peace and health.
We'll hope our post-production crew can make it all good.
Make everything beautiful. We know that it's going to be a whole lot better than it is raw once it's got all the icing on the cake.
Yeah, maybe better than last time too.
Maybe. I don't know.
The audio sounds good.
Yeah. Well, it's a better sound system here.
Yeah.
Close to my heart.
Yeah.
Oh, it's this side.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, bye.
Well, yeah, everybody. See you next time.